All right, okay. Hello, everybody. Hi, this is me, Larson Charles from Easy Markets, and this is the Daily Pitch International breaking news section. What I want to pick up on today are the Canadian job numbers, which are coming out, yes, later on. Of course, the whole election and Fed mania is slowly starting to fade away. We're getting back to normal, I would say. We're getting back to looking at normal economic data. Right, but before we jump into all that, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, yes, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendations and should not be considered as such. This material should not be taken as an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. Um, so, I'll give you a few seconds to read the rest. You can have a look at that one. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, it's we're getting back on track again. I mean, look, this week was in my opinion, a relatively crazy one. I was expecting maybe to see even bigger, maybe moves or something, but hey, the markets were relatively moderate. I would say we had good movement, but relatively moderate. Look, also before we jump into the charts, just a quick mentioning of our Easy Markets website, which you can always check out for more information about us. If you have any questions, reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to assist. So, economic calendar, this is what we are looking at today. Canadian job numbers. This is what I want to pick up on. So basically, the moment in terms of unemployment rate, we're expecting a bit of an uptick from 6.5 to 6.6. Let's see what's going to happen here. In general, what's happening with the Canadian dollar? It's still on the weaker side, and despite oil picking up the pace a little bit, Canadian dollar is still somewhat weak, and also yesterday we saw the U.S. dollar kind of correcting back down a little bit, like wiping off a little some of those gains. And still, Canadian dollar cannot, get how to say it, more support. It still is weak, and look, of course, we're going to keep an eye on the economic data today, on the job numbers, because this will impact or potentially could impact the BOC interest rate decision, and that one is coming out on 11th of December of this year. So basically, the last meeting this year is coming out on the 11th of September, 11th of December, and where the expectation is for a 25 basis point cut. So as we know, this year, Bank of Canada has been on a cut spree and basically dropping from 5%. That's the peak in has been the peak so far and in 2024. And well, actually, that was since 2022 when it started picking up. I mean, the 5% was that's kind of the peak, and now it dropped to all the way to 3.75. So during the last meeting, which we had on the 23rd of October, they managed to drop the rate all by 50 basis points. Now it's going to be quite interesting to see if they're going to stick to the 25 basis point cut, which is currently projected. Or actually they're going to go for a bigger cut. Now, a lot will depend on job numbers, I think, in my opinion. Let's see, like I said, if this is going to continue rising, if this 6.6 is going to be just a level which will stay below the actual number, and if the actual number comes out at 6.7 or something like that, then I think that this is where the Bank of Canada might go for maybe like a 50 basis point cut instead of 25 basis point cut. But the problem is that I've talked about this already before in one of these short videos that I had, that you're kind of then forgetting about the your currency, because look, Canadian dollar has been on the weaker side, especially against the US dollar here, as you can see. In the end of September, we were at around 1.34, a little bit above that, and then now we're hitting the knocking on the door of 140. So that's quite a decent up move here on USD CAD. And then if I have a look at this one, 4%, I think that's quite a decent move on the pair. Look, of course, we'll see if this is going to be the case, if we're going to get that, let's say, 50 basis point. For now, the projection is only for the 25 basis point. But if unemployment starts, or not starts, but continues to go higher, because it's so far, that's what we're seeing. That's the tendency we're seeing, that unemployment is increasing in Canada, slowly, but still increasing. Also, we're looking at the employment change number. At this point, last time the number came out at 46.7. So, hey, let's see if this is not going to get adjusted or anything like that. So, hey, we'll see, yeah, how this is going to play out here. Average hourly wages 4.5 at the moment, and the problem is that this one has been declining quite a lot. And yeah, we can see that inflation is dropping as well, but this one is also declining. So there are concerns, of course, there are concerns of deflationary problems in the country. At the moment, their inflation number sits at 1.6. The headline CPI number sits at 1.6. I mean, this is just a lot to the downside. So this is where, like I said, this is where the problem is, that if they're going to continue cutting, they might go into deflationary problems. And this is the thing. Somebody might think that, hey, actually, if you're trying to boost spending and everything, but the problem with boosting spending is that Canada is kind of going into a little bit of a ditch, because you're going to continue cutting rates, but actually your currency is devaluing a lot, and you're forcing people to either put their money into something else, or let's say into another currency like the US dollar, or not to spend, or basically put money somewhere else, basically. So the money's not going back into the economy, and this is where the problem arises. And again, okay, inflation will go down, and if suddenly inflation pops below zero, I think that this is where BOC will have to take measures of some sort of other measures, because maybe I don't know, cutting the rates very harshly, maybe that could be the case. But I don't know, again, maybe they will have to maybe give it a hike or a little bit, or maybe actually say, you know what, we're not going to cut, we're going to keep it as it is. Maybe this could bring Canadian dollar back up a little bit. So it's a unfortunately, I think Canada and BOC is getting into this position where they will have to experiment, and they will have to go for these risky moves. For example, if they say, you know what, let's not cut at all, let's keep the rates as they are. If that can maybe bring back the Canadian dollar back to life, maybe it could play out. But again, it's a very, like I said, it's a very tricky moment right now at this point. So that's why we're watching these numbers today, the Canadian numbers, very carefully. I think that Canada is an interesting market. Also, like I said, looking at the USD CAD, we're currently on a roller coaster ride. I mean, this has been quite a spectacular move, but now we're stuck. I think we could start ranging here for a little bit. But if we start dropping somewhere below this 23.6 on the Fibonacci retracement, then yes, I'll consider a little bit of a move lower. But for the upside, yes, a pop above the 1.395960 zone could be the case. Could be the gateway for some higher levels towards that 140 zone or even above. Just a quick glance what's happening in terms of EuroCAD here, because we know that the euro is on a weaker side a little bit. There we go. You see, this is a little bit of a different story, but here the euro is dictating the rules here, not Canada, because euro is on the weaker side right now, and we're seeing this negativity here on euro CAD. Let me just make a few adjustments, remove drawing. So what I'm seeing here is basically I'm seeing a bit of a range, and I'm seeing a bit of a range. So it's not a picture perfect one. However, we have to consider that, I think, in my opinion. So, hey, let's stick to this. Let's see if we can get outside of this box. If we can get outside of this box, wonderful. Then I'll consider the next short-term directional move on Euro CAD. But at the moment, look, be careful. I think this might continue moving sideways a little bit. And another pair, let's say GBP CAD, what's happening here? It's also on the somewhat modest side, but the thing is that the pound is a little bit on the stronger side than the euro. And yeah, we're seeing this kind of somewhat flatness, but still on an uptrend. The US dollar is the strongest one for now, and I think that it might stay like that for a little bit until Trump probably takes the office. But yeah, for now, like I said, watching this carefully here, GBP CAD. Look, I need to see a push above the 1.81 and a half zone here in order to consider higher levels. For the downside, I would like to see a drop below the 1.7853 zone in order to consider some lower levels. At this point, I'm just observing the price action. I'm waiting for the numbers, for the Canadian numbers, to see what's going to happen here, and then of course going into next week to see if other data can maybe boost a little bit, boost the Canadian dollar. But I think that the only thing that really could boost the Canadian dollar is either the BOC right now or WTI or oil basically. Looking at WTI oil, it's struggling. It's still this thick line here is the opening price of this year. So we're struggling to get into positive territory for the year. And okay, look, for now, if this is not going to bounce and push higher, then we could see problems still with the Canadian dollar as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was a quick, quick take on the economic data, Canadian economic data, which is coming out today. So yes, keep an eye on it. So we are now passing, like I said, the election and the Fed mania. Because this week, yes, Tuesday elections, yesterday Fed. I think that now the market will be getting back into normal-ish pace where we will be looking at economic data, not just feelings and emotions, But okay, Fed, we can say, it was the economic data, but still, yesterday the Fed was a little bit on the kind of very, very cautious side, very, very cautious side, and we didn't get really much. So yeah, Jerome Powell has said no, that he's not going to leave. So that's probably the biggest take from it. Anyway, so yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the session. I'll see you later. Hopefully with another Daily Pitch International breaking news video. So yes, let me know in the comments what do you think, what's gonna happen with the Canadian dollar, and yeah, we'll go from there. I'll see you later. Have a nice day and a beautiful weekend. Bye bye.